The massive sensor array on Mars picked up something impossible. Deep beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, buried under millions of years of sediment, energy signatures suddenly came alive. Commander Jack stood in the control room of the United Earth Defense Station. His team had been monitoring space for alien threats when their deep Earth scanners went crazy. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Emma, her voice shaking. The readings showed technology advanced, technology waking, up after being dormant for ages. The Galactic Council had ruled over this sector for 10,000 years. They considered humans a young species, barely worth notice. The Council races the tall, proud makers, the crystalline shapers, and the warrior-like hunters all looked down on humanity's simple ships and basic weapons. Ambassador Krell of the Makers visited Earth that day. He came to collect tribute, as always. Humans had to give resources to the Council or face destruction. But as Krell's ship entered orbit, alarms screamed across every Council vessel in the system. Deep under the ocean, ancient systems activated. Power cores that had slept for 3 million years hummed to life. Metal giants, each the size of cities, began to break free from their stone prisons. These were not human ships as anyone knew them. These were something older, something that predated recorded history. The first ship to emerge from the ocean was black as space itself. Water cascaded off its hull as it rose into the sky, defying gravity with technology nobody understood. More followed, dozens, then hundreds. Each ship bore symbols that looked almost human, but not quite. Ancient Earth languages mixed with star maps. No modern human recognized. Jack watched in awe as the lead ship sent out a signal. Every screen on Earth displayed the same message in 1,000 languages. Protocol 7 active. Descendants verified. Guardian fleet responding to threat detection. The Council ships above Earth began to panic. Their proud vessels, which had conquered 100 worlds, looked like toys next to these ancient giants. Ambassador Krell's confident expression turned to fear as his ship's computer translated. Old records that spoke of the first ones who had vanished long ago. On the bridge of the lead ancient ship, systems that had waited 3 million years scanned modern humanity. The AI, older than most stars in the local cluster, processed the data. These humans were different from its creators, smaller, weaker, with shorter lives. But the genetic markers matched. These were the children's children's children, countless generations removed, of those who had built the Guardian fleet. The ancient AI made its decision. The descendants were in danger. Foreign powers held them under tribute. This was unacceptable. The Guardian protocol was clear. Protect humanity, no matter how much they had changed. As the sun set that day, 500 ancient warships hung in Earth's sky. Each one carried weapons that could crack moons and shields that could withstand supernovas. They arranged themselves in a protective formation around Earth, ignoring the Council's demands to identify themselves. The galaxy was about to learn a truth that had been buried for millions of years. Humanity was not a young species. They were the descendants of something much older, much more powerful. Their ancestors had ruled the stars when the Council races were still learning to use fire. Commander Jack received a transmission directly to his neural implant technology humans didn't even know was possible. A voice spoke, neither male nor female, older than civilization. "We are the Guardian fleet. We sailed the stars before the galaxy knew peace. We fought wars beyond your understanding. We won. Then we chose to sleep, to let our children grow without our shadow. But we left protections. You are those children. The time for sleeping is over." The Council ships began to retreat, but it was too late. Humanity's true heritage had awakened. The galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after the Guardian fleet's emergence, Earth scientists worked frantically to understand the impossible. Dr. Tom led the research team granted access to the lead ship, now designated Prime Guardian. Inside the ship, they found chambers filled with historical records. The walls displayed holographic scenes from Earth's past, but not the past they knew. These images showed massive cities floating in the clouds, humans taller and stronger than any alive today, and technology that bent reality itself, a ship's AI, calling itself Archive, explained in simple terms. 3 million years ago, humanity had ruled not just this galaxy, but 7 others. They had been called the architects then, builders of impossible things. But power had corrupted them. Wars between human factions had burned entire star systems. In the end, the survivors had made a choice. They would reset. They destroyed their cities, buried their technology, and used genetic modification to make their descendants forget. They wanted humanity to evolve naturally, to learn from mistakes without the burden of their dark history. But they left the Guardian fleet, hidden and sleeping, in case their children ever faced extinction. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council held an emergency session on their capital world. Elder Voss of the Hunters pounded the table. This changes everything. If humans are descendants of the architects, then our entire history is wrong. The Maker's historical records, once opened, confirmed the truth. The technologies the Council races prided themselves on faster-than-light travel, energy shields, even their governing systems, all had been found in ancient ruins. Ruins that now clearly matched the Guardian fleet's design. Ambassador Krell returned to the Council with terrifying news. The Guardian fleet had sent a message. Return all tribute taken from Earth. Release all human colonies from Council control. You have 7 days. On Earth, the revelation divided humanity. Some wanted to embrace their heritage and use the fleet to conquer. Others feared becoming what their ancestors had fled from. Commander Jack found himself appointed as liaison between modern humanity and the Va. Guardian Fleet.Archive showed Jack more of the past. The architects had not been evil, just too powerful. They had created life on thousands of worlds, including the species that now formed the Council. The irony was bitter. The races that had oppressed humanity were, in a way, humanity's own creations from ages past. The Guardian fleet began to change Earth itself. Ancient satellites, hidden in dimensions parallel to normal space, emerged and started terraforming. Deserts bloomed into gardens. Oceans were cleaned of pollution in hours. Diseases that had plagued humanity vanished as medical drones, microscopic and perfect, healed anyone they found. But this paradise came with a warning. Archive spoke to the world's leaders. We can give you everything: immortality, unlimited power, dominion over reality itself. But your ancestors had all of this, and it destroyed them. Choose carefully. Dr. Tom discovered something disturbing in the records. The reset hadn't been voluntary for everyone. A faction of architects had opposed it, wanting to keep their power. They had been forced into stasis, locked away in prison ships at the edge of the galaxy. If the Guardian fleet had awakened, those prison ships might have received the same signal. The Council's deadline approached. Some races wanted to fight, believing they could defeat the Guardian fleet with numbers. Elder Voss led this faction, gathering a war fleet of 30,000 ships. Other races wanted to submit, recognizing humanity's ancient claim to the galaxy. On the 6th day, something unexpected happened. Ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, not Council vessels, but more Guardian ships. These were different, though. Their hulls were scarred, their energy signatures darker. A message came through. We are the forgotten. You buried us because we would not kneel to your weakness. Now we are free, and we will reclaim what is ours. The prison ships had awakened. The dark faction of the architects had returned, and they wanted their empire back. They saw modern humanity as weak, corrupted by their reset. They would cleanse Earth and start Fresh, Archive's voice carried urgency for the first time. We had hoped this day would never come. The Forgotten were locked away for good reason. They believe in humanity's supremacy through force. We believe in protection and growth. Now you, our descendants, must choose which path humanity will walk. The Council fleet arrived at the same time as the Forgotten. 3 forces now surrounded Earth: the protective Guardian fleet, the aggressive Council armada, and the supremacist Forgotten faction. The choice humanity made in the next day would determine the fate of the galaxy. Asterisk. Commander Jack stood before the United Earth Assembly. Representatives from every nation watched as he presented the impossible choice. Side with the Guardian fleet and remain protected but limited. Join the Forgotten and reclaim the ancient empire through force. Or forge their own path and risk everything above Earth. Tensions escalated. The Forgotten's leader, calling himself Supreme Architect Dex, broadcast to the planet, "Look at what you've become. Weak, divided, groveling before inferior species we created as servants. Join us, and we will restore humanity's true glory." Elder Voss's council fleet held position, waiting. The hunter leader had realized the truth. They were witnessing a human civil war that had been paused for 3 million years. The council's fate would be decided by its outcome. Dr. Tom made a breakthrough in the archive's deepest records. The reset hadn't just been about power, it was about evolution. The architects had reached the peak of physical technology, but had hit a wall. They couldn't grow further. The reset was meant to let humanity develop differently, to find new paths to greatness. "We were supposed to develop empathy," Tom explained to the assembly. "Our ancestors had power, but lost their humanity. The reset gave us weakness, so we could learn strength through cooperation, not domination." A young colony representative named Lisa stood up. "Then let's show them what we've learned. We don't need to choose between the old ways. We can make a new way." Her words sparked debate. How could modern humans, with their primitive technology, stand against either faction of their ancestors? Archive provided an answer. The Guardian fleet serves humanity's will. Define that will, and we will follow. Jack proposed something unprecedented. They would accept neither domination nor protection. Instead, they would invite the council races to join them as equals in a new alliance. Together, they would face the Forgotten and show that cooperation was stronger than supremacy. The assembly voted. It was close, but the decision was made. Humanity would stand for unity, not conquest. Jack transmitted the decision to space. "To the Galactic Council, we apologize for our ancestors' actions in creating you as servants. We offer partnership, not domination. To the Forgotten, we reject your path. Humanity's strength is not in ruling others, but in lifting them up. To the Guardian fleet, we ask not for protection, but for support as we forge a new path." Supreme Architect Dex laughed. "Foolish children, you've been corrupted by weakness. We will purge this galaxy of your failure and start again." But something unexpected happened. Elder Voss's voice crackled across the communication channels. "The Hunter clans stand with Earth. We choose the future, not the past." One by one, other council races joined. The Shapers, the Makers, even the mysterious Void Dancers, who rarely involved themselves in galactic affairs. They had lived under the shadow of humanity's past for millions of years. Now they had a chance to help write a new future. Archive's voice carried something that might have been pride. "This is what we hoped for, but could not achieve. You have united through choice, not force." The Guardian fleet acknowledges Earth's command. The battle lines were drawn. On one side, the Forgotten's 200 prison ships, each carrying weapons that could shatter worlds. On the other, the Guardian fleet's 500 protectors, the Council's 30,000 vessels, and Earth's small but determined defense force. Dex made the first move. The forgotten ships fired weapons that deleted matter from existence, beams of unlight that erased anything they touched. The Guardian fleet's shields held, but barely. The Council ships, with weaker defenses, started taking losses immediately. But then humanity's gift revealed itself. Where the Forgotten fought with perfect, cold precision, the Allied forces fought with chaos and creativity. Each race brought different tactics. The Hunters used wild, unpredictable attacks. The Shapers bent space itself to redirect enemy fire. The Makers built new weapons in real time, adapting to each threat. Dr. Tom had one more revelation. The reset hadn't just changed humanity genetically. It had planted something in their descendants' DNA. A kill switch for the ancient technology, activated by unity. If humanity stood together with other species as equals, it would trigger. Jack made the call. All Earth forces, all Council allies, form up together. Mix our formations. Stand as one. As human and alien ships merged into combined units, something activated in the Guardian fleet's core systems. Archive announced. Unity protocol confirmed. Releasing final safeguard. The Forgotten ships suddenly lost power. Their weapons failed, their shields collapsed. The kill switch had worked. But instead of destroying them, it gave them a choice: surrender and join the new alliance, or sleep again until they were ready to accept change. Asterisk 3 months had passed since the Unity battle, as historians were already calling it. Earth had become the center of something unprecedented, a truly equal alliance of species. With humanity as partners, not rulers, most of the Forgotten had chosen sleep, returning to stasis until they could accept the new reality. But some, including surprisingly Supreme Architect Dex himself, had asked to remain. Stripped of his vast powers, Dex was just a man now, learning to live without dominion over others. Commander. Jack found himself appointed as the first director of the Unified Systems Alliance. It wasn't an empire or a council, but something new. Each species had equal voice, equal vote, equal standing. The Guardian fleet had become the Alliance Defense Force, protecting all member worlds equally. Dr. Tom led the Technology Integration Committee, carefully introducing ancient knowledge at a pace societies could absorb. Medical advances eliminated disease across 100 worlds. Agricultural innovations ended hunger. But weapons technology remained locked. The Alliance had agreed that some knowledge should wait until wisdom caught up. The real change was in humanity itself. Contact with their origins had triggered something dormant in human DNA. People were living longer, thinking clearer, growing stronger, not to the level of the ancient architects, but enough to stand as equals among the galaxy's species. Lisa, the young colony representative, now served as Earth's ambassador to the former Council worlds. On the Shaper homeworld, she walked through crystal cities that sang in harmonious frequencies. The Shapers showed her their greatest shame ruins of ancient temples where they had worshipped humanity as gods. Before the Council's rise had hidden this history. We were created to be artists, the Shaper elder told her, their crystalline form shifting through rainbow patterns. Your ancestors made us to bring beauty to the universe. But we forgot our purpose in the pursuit of power. Similar stories emerged across the galaxy. The Hunters had been designed as protectors, their aggression meant to defend the weak. The Makers were intended as builders and innovators. Each race had been crafted with a purpose, then abandoned to develop alone when the Architects vanished. Archive revealed more secrets as trust grew. There were other Guardian fleets sleeping in other galaxies. The reset hadn't just happened here, it had been universal. Somewhere out there, other branches of humanity were potentially awakening, facing their own choices. But peace faced challenges. Pirate factions refused to accept the new order. Some Council hardliners plotted to steal Guardian technology. Human supremacist groups wanted to wake more forgotten, believing Earth should rule. The first real test came when raiders attacked a mixed colony humans and hunters living together on a frontier world. The response showed how much had changed. Guardian ships and Council vessels arrived together. Human medics treated hunter wounded. Hunter warriors defended human civilians. The raiders were defeated not by superior force, but by unified purpose. Dex, now serving as a historical advisor, warned of a greater danger. We architects didn't just reset Earth. We found something out there, beyond the galactic edge. Something that scared us enough to hide. If you're rebuilding civilization, you need to prepare for what we ran from. Deep space sensors had detected anomalies at the galaxy's rim. Ships that entered that region didn't return. Energy signatures that matched no known technology. Archive admitted its records of that region had been deliberately deleted. Jack assembled an expedition. A mixed crew on a Guardian ship upgraded with Council improvements and human creativity. They would investigate the rim and face whatever the architects had feared. Before leaving, Jack stood in the Earth Assembly Hall, now expanded to host representatives from 50 worlds. Our ancestors ran from something, hid from it. But we're not them. We don't face the darkness alone, we face it together. The expedition launched with great ceremony. The ship, renamed Unity's Light, carried the best of all species. Their mission was not conquest, but understanding. If something dangerous lurked at the galaxy's edge, the Alliance would meet it as one dot, as Earth celebrated the launch. Archive spoke privately to Tom. Your ancestors were right to fear what lies beyond. But they were alone, corrupted by power, unable to trust. You have what they lacked: unity, born from choice, not force. Perhaps that will be enough. In deep space, the Unity's light approached the rim. Strange signals grew stronger. Whatever the architects had found 3 million years ago was still there, still waiting. The crew prepared to make contact, not knowing if they would find an enemy, an ally, or something beyond current understanding. But they faced it together, human and alien, ancient technology and new hope combined. Asterisk, the Unity's light drifted at the galaxy's edge, where stars grew sparse and darkness ruled. Commander Jack studied readings that defied physics. Space itself was different here, twisted, folded, almost alive. Contact in 30 seconds, announced Navigator Bell, a young human working alongside a Shaper pilot. The crystalline being's harmonics expressed worry that needed no translation. What emerged from the void challenged comprehension. It wasn't a ship, it was a living structure, organic yet technological, vast as a moon. It pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that hurt to perceive directly. A voice spoke directly into every mind aboard, bypassing all translation. You return, architects. We waited. We remember the betrayal. Archive's response was immediate. These are not the architects. These are their descendants, changed, unified with their creations. The entity, for lack of a better word, scanned the ship. Jack felt its consciousness examining not just their technology, but their very souls. The mixed crew, human and alien standing together, seemed to confuse it. Impossible, the voice said. Architects do not share power. They consume, control, dominate. You are different. Dr. Tom stepped forward. We learned from their mistakes. Will you tell us what happened? Why did our ancestors fear you? The void around them shimmered, and suddenly they were seeing the past. 3 million years ago, the architects at their peak had discovered this race, the Beyonders, beings who had evolved past physical form, existing as living consciousness in folded space. The architects had tried to conquer them, to steal their transcendence technology. The war had been brief but devastating. The Beyonders could unmake reality itself. Entire architect fleets had been deleted from existence. Your ancestors attacked us, the Beyonder explained. We defended ourselves, then offered peace. They fled instead, hid their shame, reset their civilization, rather than admit defeat. We chose to wait, to see if their children would be different. Elder Voss, part of the expedition, spoke up. They created us as servants. But these humans freed us, made us equals. They chose unity over dominion. The Beyonders' form shifted, becoming less threatening. Show us this unity. What followed was the strangest cultural exchange in galactic history. The crew demonstrated their cooperation, humans and hunters, sparring as friends, not enemies. Shapers and makers, collaborating on art that was also technology. The former forgotten, who had chosen redemption working alongside those they once tried to dominate. The Beyonder revealed truths that shook everyone. They weren't from this universe originally. They were refugees, fleeing something even greater, an entropy wave consuming realities, unmaking existence itself. They had hoped the architect's power could help stop it. Instead, they had found only aggression. The wave still comes, the Beyonder warned. In perhaps 1,000 years, it will reach this galaxy. We cannot stop it alone. We had given up hope until now. Jack made a decision that would define the future. Then join us. Not as subjects or rulers, but as partners. Together, we might find a solution. The galaxy watched as the Unity's light returned, accompanied by Beyonder vessels, if they could be called vessels. The beings of living thought integrated carefully into the Alliance, sharing knowledge that advanced every field of science. But they also brought terrible news. The entropy wave wasn't natural. It was created by a civilization that had chosen ending over evolution. Beings who believed existence itself was suffering. They were unmaking reality to save it. The Alliance faced its greatest challenge. Not war in the traditional sense, but a philosophical battle for the right to exist. The enemy couldn't be defeated with weapons. They had to be convinced that existence was worth preserving. Earth became the center of the greatest project in history. Every species contributed shaper harmonics that could touch emotions across dimensions. Hunter courage that inspired hope. Maker innovation that defied impossibility. Human creativity that found solutions in chaos. Beyonder consciousness that could reach across realities. They built not a weapon, but a message, a demonstration of what existence could be when beings chose cooperation over conflict, growth over stagnation, hope over despair. It would be broadcast across dimensions when the entropy wave arrived. Archive made one final revelation. The architect's greatest creation wasn't the guardian fleet or the species they designed. It was the potential for this moment, when their descendants would unite all life in common cause. As the galaxy prepared for the coming storm, children on 100 worlds learned the same lesson. Humanity's greatest strength was never in their technology or power, but in their ability to bring others together, to find common ground, to choose hope over fear. The story of humanity had come full circle. From gods to mortals to partners, they had learned that true strength came not from standing above others, but from standing with them. The entropy wave would come. But when it did, it would find not a divided galaxy, but a united one, ready to prove that existence, with all its struggles and joys, was worth saving. Asterisk.